Sarvapriyananda as lecturer. Now we would start this session by Vedic chanting. This will be performed by Dr. Rajdeep Basak, a PhD scholar from the Department of Physics and an active member of Vivekananda Youth Circle, IIEST Shibpur. Hand over to you, Rajdeep.
Thank you, Vikan. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampaadhrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamejyam Tang Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namame. Om Yathagmir Dahika Shaktihi Ramakrishne Sthita Hiya Sarva Vidya Swarupam Tang Saradang Pranamamyaham. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraya Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Virjam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanno Mitra Shamvarunaha Shanno Bhavatvadyama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnu Rurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ratam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vedamanukya Acharyo Antevasana Manushaste Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara Swadhyayanma Pramadah Acharyaya Priyam Dhanamahritya Prajatantum Ma Vyavachetsi Satyanna Pramaditavyam Dharmanna Pramaditavyam Kushalanna Pramaditavyam Bhutyaina Pramaditavyam Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyamna Pramaditavyam Devapitrkaryabhyamna Pramaditavyam Matridevo Bhava Pitrudevo Bhava Acharya Devo Bhava Atiti Devo Bhava Yanyanavadyani Kadmani Tani Sevitavyani No Itarani Yanyasmakagum Sucharitani Tani Tvayopasyani No Itarani Yeke Chasmat Shreyagum Sa Brahmanaha Teshang Tvayasanena Prashvasitavyam Shraddhaya Deyam Ashraddhaya Deyam Shriya Deyam Dhiya Deyam Dhiya Deyam Samvida Deyam अथ यदि ते कर्म विचिकित्सा वा वृत्त विचिकित्सा वा स्यात् ये तत्र ब्राह्मणाः सम्मर्षिणः युक्ता आयुक्ताः अलूक्षा धर्मकामा स्युः यथा ते तत्र वर्तेरन् तथा तत्र वर्तेथाः अथाभ्या आख्यातेषु ये तत्र ब्राह्मणाः सम्मर्षिणः युक्ता आयुक्ताः अलूक्षा धर्मकामा स्युः यथा ते तेषु वर्तेरन् तथा तेषु वर्तेथाः एष आदेशः एषा उपदेशः एषा वेदोपनिषत् एतदनुशासनम् एवमुपासितव्यम् एवमुचैतदुपास्यम् ओम शन्नो मित्रशं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इंद्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मावादिशं ऋतमवादिशं सत्यमवादिशं तन्मामावेत् तद्वक्तादमावेत् आवेन्माम् आवेद्वक्तारम् ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम.
Thank you, Rajdeep. Now, a brief introduction about our Vivekananda Youth Circle. Our Vivekananda Youth Circle, known as VYC, was established in 1984 at the then Bengal Engineering College and now known as Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur. It is a voluntary, non-political, non-sectarian student organization of this institution working under guidance of professors. Its main activity includes weekly session by the members of VYC where we study and discuss the teachings of Swami Vivekananda in life. Lectures by monks of Ramakrishna order and other eminent personality on character building. Maintaining a library of books on Swami Vivekananda, Vedanta, personality development, etc. Service-oriented activities such as academic help for the needy and meritorious students, providing relief during calamity, service to external poor tribal areas, etc. Now we come to the moment which all of us are eagerly waiting for. It's our pleasure to have live session with Swami Sarvapriyananda. We all follow him through his lectures in various online media. Though all of us know about him, let me briefly introduce Maharaj. Swami Sarvapriyananda is a dynamic young monk of the Ramakrishna Math. He joined the Ramakrishna order at Ramakrishna Mission, Vidyapit, Devghar, Jharkhand in 1994. Since then, he has served the Ramakrishna Mission in various capabilities, including Vice Principal of the Devghar Vidyapit Higher Secondary School, Principal of Shiksha Mandira Teachers Training College at Belur Math, and as the first Registrar of the Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University at Belur Math. Currently, he serves as the head of the Vedanta Society of New Year. So now, I would like to hand over the control of this program to you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Maharaj.
Um,
But Maharaj, your video is not visible.
my video, I switched on my video. Why is it not visible?
I don't know others are able to see or not.
Oh, I see. Just a minute. I think I have made a mistake.
Video is not there.
Yeah, I understand what I have done. It's different camera.
No, it is coming.
Can you see me now?
Yes, Maharaj.
Nice and clear. Thank you, Pranam.
So, also, can you give me permission to share the screen if necessary? I don't know how to do it here.
Maharaj, on the right hand side there is a.
Oh, that present now. That is there. Yes, I understand now. Correct. So let me start with a chant and then we will go on. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Surai Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Tapaharine. Thank you for this invitation to have these two sessions. We'll have one session today and one more later. I think next week probably. What I'll do now is I'll speak for about 45 minutes and then we'll go into Q&A. I actually have another session a little later at 11 o'clock my time. So I'll have to leave at that time. But before that, we can have a discussion, Q&A. So let's do that. I'll speak about the subject, the Swami Vivekananda's teachings on the 4 yogas, and then we'll have the interaction. Does that sound good? And also, let me know at any point if there is a problem in the connection, like the video or audio. If there's any problem, just let me know. All right. Let me see. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Maharaj.
You can see the screen, the synthesis of yogas?
Yes.
Yes. So, as a subject for discussion, what I thought about was in these two areas of Swami Vivekananda's teachings. One is the harmony of yogas, the yoga samanvaya, and another one would be his teachings on ethics, his philosophy of ethics, which is next time. So today we'll talk about Swami Vivekananda's teachings on the harmony of yogas. See, what is the question here? If you keep the question in mind, it's easy to put it in context. So the question here is, what does Swami Vivekananda teach about spiritual practice? According to Swami Vivekananda, what is spiritual practice? Or to put it even more simply, what is it that we are supposed to do? What is it that we are supposed to practice? So the answer to that question is going to be discussed today. Most of this presentation, though not all of it, but most of it is based on an article which I had shared with you earlier. It's by Swami Bhajanananda ji. The article is called Synthesis of Yogas and Their Synthesis by Swami Bhajanananda ji. Okay. So this, is the emblem of the Ramakrishna order. In any ashram of Ramakrishna mission, you will see that this is the symbol which is put, or in the books or magazines, this logo, this symbol you will see. And whatever I'm going to discuss today, Swami Vivekananda's teachings on the 4 yogas, is very nicely captured in this symbol. It was actually here where I am sitting, in the Vedanta Society of New York, not where I'm sitting, because this building, we got it later. But when Swami Vivekananda established the Vedanta Society of New York in 1894, a little later, a couple of years after that, here itself in the Vedanta Society of New York, one day, a printer who was going to print one of Swami Vivekananda's early lectures, he came to Swami Vivekananda and said it would be nice to have a symbol or a logo when we print the lecture. And the description is very interesting. That Swami Vivekananda was sitting in the breakfast table and he took a piece of paper, maybe a napkin, and he drew this. And then he tossed it across the table to the printer and said, draw it to scale. And that's how the logo of the Ramakrishna mission was born. He just sketched it casually right there. But it's a wonderful, very rich in symbology. So what is being shown here? You can see a swan is swimming in the waters. There is a lotus blooming. Behind it, there is the sun which is rising. And encircling the whole thing, you can see the serpent, like a cobra encircling the whole diagram. Now here, we see the waters symbolize, the wavy water symbolize karma yoga, the lotus symbolizes bhakti yoga, and the rising sun behind, it symbolizes jnana yoga, and the serpent all around, it symbolizes the kundalini shakti, or the power of meditation, raja yoga. And the swan in between is the symbol for the Paramatman, the ultimate reality, which we will attain or realize by a harmony of these 4 yogas. So this is the meaning. You can see below it's written, Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat, let that ultimate reality enlighten us. So Swami Vivekananda himself explained it in a letter to Mary Hale. You can find it in Complete Works, volume 5, page 166. In the mission seal, the snake represents mysticism, the sun knowledge, the worked up waters activity, the lotus love, the swan the soul in the midst of all. Again, in more detail, actually when he came back to Belur Math, and an art teacher from the Calcutta School of Art had come and he wanted to know the meaning of this symbol, and then Swami Vivekananda explained. And this was recorded by Sharat Chandra, Swami Vivekananda's disciple, in his diary of a disciple. He said, the wavy waters in the picture are symbolic of karma, the lotus of bhakti, and the rising sun of jnana. The encircling serpent is indicative of yoga, and the awakened Kundalini Shakti, while the swan in the picture stands for the Paramatman, Supreme Self. Therefore, the idea of the picture is that by the union of karma, jnana, bhakti and yoga, the vision of the Paramatman is obtained. So this basically summarizes, encapsulates Swami Vivekananda's philosophy of spiritual practice. Today we'll take a look deeper into that to see what is traditional, what is meant by these four yogas, and why Swami Vivekananda recommends harmonizing or union of these four yogas, and how it can be done. So when we go back to the root meaning of the word yoga, it comes from the Sanskrit root yuj, and it has two meanings. One meaning is concentration, meditation, samadhi. That's one sense in which yoga is used very popularly, meditation. The other meaning is to join. Two things, when they are joined together, the English word yoke, to combine two things together, has come from this yoga. So yoga is basically the path for God realization. What is meant by this is an important distinction. See, there can be religion which is what one might call conventional religion, where one is going to a temple or church or mosque, and the purpose of that is I get some peace of mind and I get the blessings of God, some psychological strength, some material benefit by the blessings of God. My life will go a little better. I'll be protected from coronavirus. My job will be safe, secure, and so on and so forth. So this is a kind of conventional religion, where religion is used for bettering my life in the world. God will help me to live a better life. And nothing wrong in that. And that's mass religion. Most of religion, in every religion, most people are interested in this much only. But yoga is not for this. Yoga is spiritual path. A spiritual practice is meant for the higher religion or spirituality. What is the difference between higher religion and the lower religion? The higher religion is that the purpose of my life, the goal of my life is God realization. I want to attain enlightenment, to realize God, and that is what I want to do in life. The conventional religion, the more worldly kind of religion is, I want money and fame and success and pleasure and all this in the world, a worldly life basically. And religion, if at all I'm believing in religion should help me there. So this is a big difference. I put it this way, is religion to make my life better, or my life is for religion? Religion for my life, God for my life, or my life for God? If God is a component of my life, then I'm a conventionally religious person. But if my life is meant, my purpose of my life is for God realization, then I'm a spiritual seeker. And yoga is meant for spiritual seekers. Again, I must clarify here, the word yoga has been used for other purposes also. For example, health. Both in India and in the West, and especially here in America, yoga is very popular. Many people are aware of yoga, many people practice yoga. But the whole point is that yoga is taken as a system of physical exercises. It's a very good system of physical exercises by which you can maintain good health. And that's it. And some people are vaguely aware of some connection to Hinduism. Nothing to do with higher spirituality. In fact, many people are not even aware of its connection to India. I had gone to this school in Los Angeles a few years ago, 4 years ago, where I was supposed to give a talk about introducing Hinduism. They had a class on the world religions. So these boys and girls were all, there were no Indians there in that class. So they were not particularly very much aware of what India is. So when I mentioned yoga, one boy excitedly asked, "Oh, so you have yoga in India too?" So he thought that yoga is only in America. And how is it that Indians have yoga? So that yoga is for physical health. And nothing wrong in that. That's perfectly all right. That is definitely one of the uses of yoga. That is Hatha Yoga for physical health. Though even Hatha Yoga, if you look at the original purpose of Hatha Yoga, physical health, yes, but the ultimate purpose was God realization. So here when we talk about yoga, and when Swami Vivekananda is talking about yoga, it is for God realization. What is this God realization? You can see it in different ways. Very simple is like when Narendranath goes to Sri Ramakrishna and asks, can you see God? Have you seen God? So does God exist? Have you seen God? This is the search for God. This is a spiritual search. Not what will God do for me? Will God give me money and food and wealth and success? That's the conventional religion. Spirituality is when I am seeking God. Sri Ramakrishna himself, his sadhana, whole sadhana was yoga, spiritual seeking, because he wanted to know, he wanted to see the Divine Mother in Dakshineshwar. Can it be actually experienced, not just a matter of belief and ritual or faith? So, my point here is, yoga, when we are talking about yoga, we mean a spiritual path. And I hope I've made it clear what is a spiritual path, a path which takes you to God realization. God realization need not necessarily be a search for God. It could also be a search for the meaning of the self, for who am I, what am I? So, for example, in religions which have no God, in Buddhism, for example, or Jainism, or in Hinduism, Sankhya, even the yoga philosophy of Patanjali. So God is either not there or is not central there. And the purpose is self-realization, to find out the reality about oneself. That is also spirituality. So spirituality can take these two paths. One is the approach to realization of God, a God-oriented spirituality, or a self-inquiry oriented spirituality. Now, let me see. Sri Aurobindo put it very nicely. He said that all life, when we look behind its appearances, is a vast yoga of nature, attempting to realize her perfection in an ever-increasing expression of her potentialities and to unite herself with her own divine reality. Basically, what he is saying here is a wonderful insight, that even if you do not consider yourself to be a spiritual seeker, even if you do not consider yourself to be a yogi, what you are trying to do is the basic, is also the same goal. What yoga is trying to do, you are also trying to do that. Whatever we are trying to do in life, we are trying to reach a place of, a state of peace, fulfillment, overcome suffering. So overcoming suffering and attaining fulfillment, this is our goal in life. Nobody can deny that that is the goal. We may try to do it through money or power or politics or knowledge, in all of these ways. But basically we're trying to attain that only. In some way, some fulfillment we are trying to attain. And what spirituality tells us is that ultimately this fulfillment can be attained only through spiritual realization, God realization or self-realization. So, if you do it consciously, deliberately, you are a yogi. And the path you will follow is this karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga. If you don't do it at all, you don't consider yourself a yogi, you're not doing anything, no kind of spiritual practice consciously or deliberately, you might just say, I'm just living life. I'm just like anybody else. I'm doing what comes to me naturally in life. Then unconsciously you are following the same path. Ultimately, the goal is to reach satisfaction, fulfillment. The whole idea of spiritual life is that this satisfaction and fulfillment which all living beings are looking for, it can only be attained through God realization or self-realization, or in one term, it is spiritual realization. Now, broadly, the spiritual path can be divided or classified into four paths, four ways. One is Jnana Yoga, the way of knowledge, Bhakti Yoga, the way of love, Raja Yoga, the way of meditation, and Karma Yoga, the way of work. These are the four yogas which Swami Vivekananda, he sort of classified all sorts of spiritual practices under these four broad heads. What are these four paths? Let me just mention a little bit about each before I go ahead. Jnana Yoga, the path is, it says, that our problems are due to ignorance. We do not know our real nature, which is ever perfect, which is immortal existence, which is this unchanging awareness or consciousness, and fulfillment, bliss, Sat Chit Ananda. We are already that, but we don't know it, ignorance. And not knowing it, then this world which appears before us, this body and mind which appears, we identify with it, that we think we are this body and mind. And then the struggle begins. Because once you are identified with something as limited as a body, which is subject to birth and death and disease and coronavirus and so on and so forth, then all those problems come to us, that I am the one who is going to become old and diseased and die. I am the one who needs to continuously struggle for food and shelter and to fulfill the desires of the mind, which are much more than the desires of the body. So all of these problems come because of our ignorance of our real nature, and the only way to overcome that ignorance is knowledge. And the way to get that knowledge is the Vedantic approach is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Systematically studying or hearing the truths of Vedanta, then reflecting or reasoning about it, and then meditating about it, and then getting this realization that I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. Once you realize that, you are free of bondage, you are free of all troubles. You attain that overcoming of suffering and attainment of bliss or fulfillment. Atyantika dukkha nivritti, paramananda prapti. Bhakti Yoga, instead of saying I am Brahman, the approach is that there is an ultimate reality in this universe. Call it God. And you take it on faith, on belief, and you love and worship and surrender to God. And by devotion to God, by the grace of God, one will overcome suffering and attain peace, and bliss and fulfillment. That is Bhakti Yoga. In fact, a lot of religion, most mass religion is basically Bhakti Yoga. Here in the United States, in the West, people are aware of this kind of religion only. That is theistic religion. Religion means God and faith in God, belief in God. In fact, the word used for religion in USA is faith. So, from Vedantic perspective, we know there are various paths to spirituality. And this is one of those paths. No doubt, it's one of the main paths, but it is one among four other, like four paths. Jnana is also there, Raja Yoga and Karma Yoga are also there. So Bhakti Yoga is one major path. It's a path of faith, of devotion, of surrender. Then Raja Yoga. And in Hinduism also Bhakti Yoga is very prominent. In fact, one might say mainstream Hinduism is basically a Bhakti path, a path of devotion to Krishna or Rama or Vishnu or Devi. In Bengal, it is primarily the mother goddess, Devi, Durga, Kali, and so on. Then there is another path, the path of Raja Yoga, meditation, and the path of Dhyana. And primarily, Swami Vivekananda based this on the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which is the oldest existing manual of meditation. What does it say? It says that the truth is already there within us. We are this unlimited consciousness. We're always trouble-free, but we don't realize it. But instead of Jnana Yoga, where they say that ignorance is the problem and the way out is knowledge, and you have to cultivate this knowledge through hearing, contemplation, and hearing, reasoning, and meditation. In Raja Yoga, the approach is that this knowledge is there, but it's not revealed to us because of the restlessness of our mind. If the mind can be calmed and concentrated, that the fact that we are the Atman, we are pure consciousness, will be revealed to us directly. It will become evident to us. And that is freedom. So the problem in Raja Yoga is restlessness of mind. And the solution is concentration of mind, focus. And in Raja Yoga, how to meditate, will be taught how to sit, asana, how to breathe, so that the mind becomes calm, how to withdraw our attention from the external world, how to concentrate within and hold that concentration until it becomes absorption, deep absorption, samadhi. And at that stage, it is claimed that the reality will reveal itself to us. So this is the way of Raja Yoga. Notice, in each of these yogas, the problem is put in a specific way and the solution comes accordingly. In Jnana Yoga, the problem is ignorance and the solution is knowledge. In Bhakti Yoga, the problem is lack of belief in God, lack of faith in God. The solution is faith in God, belief in God and surrender to God. In Raja Yoga, the problem is the restlessness of the mind and the solution is concentration of mind. Karma Yoga, the next one, though it has never generally been taken as a major path of spirituality, but Swami Vivekananda gave it an independent status. Karma Yoga is basically transforming all our work into spiritual practice. Here the problem is put forward as that our selfishness is the problem. What is selfishness and why is it a problem? Selfishness means I am only this person, this limited person. I am this much, this body, this mind, this personality is who I am. And everything other than this is other, not me. And all my activities in the world, whatever I do in the world, the conscious or unconscious goal is to make this person happy. This body, this mind. Everything is for this body mind. Whether it is resources and entertainment and power and knowledge, everything is to enrich this body mind. This is selfishness. And it never leads to happiness. It ultimately leads to frustration and unhappiness. And so Karma Yoga says that this selfishness is the source of our problem. And if you can reverse this, if we can direct our energies to the welfare of others, unselfish action, then it will purify the mind and the truth that we are not the body or mind, we are pure spirit, existence, consciousness, bliss will become evident to us. Though as we shall see, generally in the history of Vedanta, Karma Yoga was always seen as subsidiary, as a preparatory level. And all the traditional teachers accepted Karma Yoga as an important, very important practice, but preparatory practice. The real practice, according to the ancient masters, was either Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or according to some Raja Yoga. Now, next. So what is the relationship between the yogas? The traditional approach was that according to the scriptures, by scriptures I mean the Vedas, the Upanishads, Gita and other texts like Bhagavatam and all, one is the primary path. Some say Bhakti is the primary path, some say Jnana is the primary path, but Sri Ramakrishna and following Sri Ramakrishna Swami Vivekananda, the famous teaching was Jato Mat Tato Path. As many views, so many paths. Sri Ramakrishna is famously the Samanvaya Avatar, the teacher of harmony. Teacher of harmony not only among religions, but among the 4 yogas also. Swami Vivekananda's definition of religion, very simple but powerful definition. What is religion? Notice here he gives the definition religion as the higher spirit, the higher religion, spirituality. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. You do this either by work, Karma Yoga, do this by work, or worship, Bhakti Yoga, or psychic control, Raja Yoga, or philosophy, Jnana Yoga, by one or more or all of these and be free. I remember once in Belur Math, a senior monk asked me, so what are you studying these days? I gave some book of philosophy, and he said, oh, what's the use of studying philosophy? The aim is God realization, not to study philosophy. And then I said, but no, what I mean by that is to study it and meditate upon it and see the inner reality revealed, from the Upanishads or the Gita or whatever. And then he said, oh, you mean Jnana Yoga? Why are you saying philosophy? I said, look, Swami Vivekananda has used the word philosophy for Jnana Yoga. So when he says, Swami Vivekananda says philosophy, he means Jnana Yoga. By one or more or all of these, very important phrase. Swami Vivekananda says you can become enlightened. You can manifest this divinity by work, Karma Yoga, or by worship, Bhakti Yoga, or by meditation, psychic control, or philosophy, Jnana Yoga, or more. You can combine any 2 or 3 of them. or all. You can combine all four of them. And then he says this is the whole of religion. Doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms are but secondary details. Then next. Let me skip ahead. One thing you notice is that according to psychology, we have three capacities. All human beings, we have three capacities. One is the capacity for thinking, which is called cognitive, our cognitive faculty. Another is the capacity for feeling. It's called the affective domain. Cognitive domain and affective domain. Affective domain means emotions. And the third is the capacity for will or action. Conative. Conative means will, which is expressed as action. So, thinking, feeling, and doing. These are the three capacities that we have. And notice that these yogas are connected to these three capacities. Thinking is connected to Jnana Yoga, willing or doing is connected to Karma Yoga, and emotions are connected to Bhakti Yoga. So the yogas are basically taking up one of the faculties, one of the capacities, and using it for spiritual realization. And that's why it's also, it naturally thought occurs to us, if I've got three capacities, thinking, willing, and feeling, then if I want to realize God, should I not use all three of them? I should use all of these capacities together. Why only one of them? So this is the basis for the harmony of the four yogas. Not just one path, but use all of these. These are all powers. We can use all of them together. Swami Vivekananda says, he strongly argues that all four yogas should be combined. Would to God that all these elements of philosophy, mysticism, emotion, and of work were equally present in full. That is the ideal, my ideal of a perfect man. Everyone who has only one or two of these elements of character, I consider one-sided. Actually, one good way of understanding the harmony of yogas is to look at the life of Swami Vivekananda himself. He was a great meditator. From Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Naren Dhyan Siddho. He is perfect in meditation. We have the vivid description of Girish Babu is seeing in Kashipur, Narendranath sitting down for meditation, and there's so many mosquitoes that his face seems to be black with mosquitoes. Even one mosquito can disturb our meditation. But here is Vivekananda sitting in meditation, completely absorbed. So many mosquitoes are biting him. No awareness of the external world. So much concentration, so much absorption he was naturally capable of. He was deeply, deeply devotional. He said, that my heart is as soft as the heart of a woman, full of emotion and deep feeling. The depth of his feeling was very, very, very profound. His love of God and his love of humanity. And then, of course, he was a great jnani. And about the side of Karma Yoga, of course, we need not say anything. It is most evident how dynamic he was. Within 10 years, just imagine what he did. Within 10 years, from 1893 to 1902, when he passed away, he had taken this message of spirituality from India to the West, and so effectively. He was the first of the line of so many gurus and spiritual teachers who for the last more than 100 years have been coming from India and to the West here. And so this whole trend was started by Swami Vivekananda. On the other hand, he came back to India and awakened India. I mean, India was like a dormant, sleeping nation, colonized under British rule. So he awakened India to its own spiritual greatness and Indian nationalism. Somebody called him the unconscious father of Indian nationalism. So all great nationalists in India, starting from Mahatma Gandhi and everybody else, they all acknowledged their debt to Swami Vivekananda. So karma, dynamic action, that was part of Swami Vivekananda's character also. All those four elements, jnana, knowledge, devotion, bhakti, meditation, dhyana, and karma, were action, were all present in Swami Vivekananda. He harmonized those four yogas in his life. What is the need for this synthesis? Swami Vivekananda says, Jnana is all right, but there is the danger of its becoming dry intellectualism. Love is great and noble, but it may die away in meaningless sentimentalism. A harmony of these is the thing required. So each yoga has its own defects and dangers. But if you harmonize, if I combine all the yogas, they will correct each other's shortcomings. And so the net result is much better. Let me go ahead. Karma Yoga, Swami Vivekananda gave special emphasis to Karma Yoga. And if you see Swami Bhajanandaji's article, he takes note of that in the modern world, action is an integral part of modern society, all over the world. In fact, so much so, in this city, for example, in New York, they say it is the city that never sleeps. That's the city that never sleeps, but it dreams. So people are so active here. Action, work is central to a modern society. So one must spiritualize that. Otherwise, spirituality is impossible. And there is a question of social commitment. It's not just a private spirituality. Spirituality is also, it involves upliftment of society, of helping others. So Karma Yoga is a special role to play in today's age. All right. How do you synthesize or harmonize the yogas? So different approaches are suggested by Swami Bhajanananda ji in that article. Let me just mention them quickly and then I'll bring it to an end. One is the traditional approach. It is interesting to note in the traditional approach in Vedanta, for example, in different schools of Vedanta, we know there are different schools, different approaches to spiritual life in Hinduism. There is Advaita Vedanta, Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita Vedanta, and so many. The Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which is from Bengal itself, so many. And each of them has their own approach to these yogas. So it is interesting to note, and in all these traditional teachers, these ancient teachers, they all actually recommended a combination of these four yogas. But their approach was a hierarchical approach. At first, so for example, in Advaita Vedanta, let me just give a detailed, yes. So if you look at this chart, this is the traditional method in Advaita Vedanta. So let me present it quickly and you will see what I mean. And then we'll see what Swami Vivekananda did with this. So according to Advaita Vedanta, we are Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. That is the fact already. Then what is the problem then? If I am Brahman, if I am an infinite existence, consciousness, bliss, what is the problem? The problem is I don't know it. You may say it, I may read it, but I don't feel it. So this is here, you can see the problem. 3 levels of problems, 3 levels of solutions and method. So what is the first level of problem? The highest or the core problem is ajnana or ignorance. Ignorance about what? Not ignorance about engineering or chemistry or English. No, ignorance about our real nature. Who am I? What am I? I don't know that. So the only solution to ignorance is knowledge. Solution to ajnana is jnana. What knowledge? The knowledge that I am Brahman, my real self. Then what is the method of getting that knowledge? Knowledge will overcome ignorance, but how will I get that knowledge? The method is Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga, the practices are Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. You hear the teachings of the Upanishads, you study it systematically under a competent teacher, you reason it out so that all doubts are cleared, and then when you have learned it and you have got clarity about it, then with that clarity you stay with it. As Swami Vivekananda said, assimilate it until the truth tingles with every drop of your blood. I am that reality, I am Brahman. It should become a living reality. That's the method. Now one might say, yes, but I have been studying Vedanta for so many years. It's not working. Then what is the next level of problem? The next level of problem is vikshepa. The mind is scattered. In one place in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Kathamrita, people are discussing Vedanta. Sri Ramakrishna is right there listening carefully. He does not comment at first. At the end he says, these words are good, but they have to be assimilated. Kathaguli to bhalo, dharana hawa chai. So what is the problem? The mind is scattered. It is unable to grasp these teachings. Vikshepa. For the scattered mind, the solution is ekagrata, concentration. How does one get concentration? Here, The answer is upasana or worship or meditation. You can include Raja Yoga and Bhakti Yoga in these two. You can include them. And then one might say, yes, I am trying to meditate, but I feel restless or I feel sleepy when I am meditating. My mind is not getting concentrated. Then what is the third level of problem? It's the impure mind. Chitta mala, impurity of mind. All our vasanas, desires and conditionings, patterns of behavior and thought through not only one lifetime, many lifetimes are there packed in the mind. So this has to be cleansed. This purification of the mind is chitta shuddhi. Solution is purification. And the method is karma yoga. So karma yoga, unselfish action, will purify the mind. With a pure mind, if you try to meditate, mind will become ekagra and concentrated. With a pure and concentrated mind, if you come to Jnana Yoga, you will get knowledge. Knowledge will remove ignorance, and you realize Aham Brahmasmi. So this was the traditional method of combining the four yogas in Advaita Vedanta, traditional Advaita Vedanta. Clearly, you can see that Jnana Yoga is privileged above the others. You can get liberation through Jnana Yoga alone, and the other yogas are there as preparation. They are founded. They will not take you to the ultimate realization, but foundational. It will prepare the ground for Jnana Yoga. Now, this is in Advaita Vedanta. But if you see some other teacher like Ramanujacharya in Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, or the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya in Bengal itself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there what they will do is, they will reverse this. They will say that, no, not Jnana Yoga, it is by Bhakti Yoga you will get liberation. By devotion to God, love of God, you will get enlightenment and liberation. So Bhakti Yoga is the highest, and if Jnana Yoga and meditation, Karma Yoga are necessary at all, some say they are necessary, some say that is also not necessary. But if it's necessary at all, they are lower than Bhakti Yoga. So you see this like a ladder. So this was the traditional approach. All the four yogas are accepted, but like a ladder. First Karma Yoga generally, and then if it is Vishishta Advaita, then it will be Jnana Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga. If it is Advaita Vedanta, then first Karma Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga, and then Jnana Yoga. So this way, this ladder or hierarchical combination was recommended. When Swami Vivekananda talks about the harmony of yogas, what is another way is what you might call a horizontal synthesis. That if you look at the lives of, say, the monks in Belur Math, or many of the devotees. So what do? Early in the morning we get up and meditate. So we can say I am practicing Dhyana Yoga or meditation then. Then we study the scriptures. I can say I am practicing Jnana Yoga. And then we go and do work in the school, hospital, whichever service activity we do, that is my Karma Yoga. In the evening we come and sit for Arati, Khandana Bhavavandana is sung in the temple, that is my Bhakti Yoga. So in this way, throughout the day, I am practicing the four yogas separately. This is one way of combining also. But you see, it's a lack of integration. There is no underlying philosophy. And then another way, this is something that Swami Bhajananji has suggested in that article. He says if you look at the 5 layers of the human personality, physical body, then the vital sheath, mental sheath, mind, or intellect, and Anandamaya, the 4 yogas are there itself. Another one Swami Vivekananda suggested, collective synthesis. That if among us each one may not individually attain to that perfection, still we may get it collectively by counteracting, equipoising, adjusting and fulfilling one another. This would be harmony by a number of persons and a decided advance on all other forms and creeds. So in an ashram or in a family or in your Vivekananda, in your study circle also, you will see some are more meditative by nature, some are more intellectual, more philosophical by nature, some are more active and service oriented by nature, some are devotional, bhakti oriented by nature. So in your organization or family or ashram, you already have a synthesis of or harmony of the 4 yogas. Swami Vivekananda was himself asked that how shall we harmonize the 4 yogas? And he said, You have to live with somebody who has harmonized the yogas in their own life. I think the best example is Swami Vivekananda himself. Even if we cannot live with him, if we study his life, we can see he is as great a jnani as a bhakta, as a dhyani, and a karmi. So Sister Nivedita said, this is the new religion of this age, the synthesis of yoga. Here yoga means meditation. Knowledge, devotion and work. The propagation of knowledge and devotion to all, down to the lowest, without distinction of age or sex. And this is so, it's important that Nivedita says it is meant for everybody, not just a few monks or a few spiritual seekers. It's not an elite practice. It's a practice for which will enrich the life of everybody in the world, whoever practices it. So that's all I wanted to say. Good. Now, if there are any questions, let us see, discussion, and the time that is remaining to us. So how will you like to do the interaction? Will somebody moderate, or you'll individually unmute and introduce yourself and ask the question?
I think we can go ahead with the second option, and those who are in the YouTube live, we can collect the questions from there and ask them on behalf of them.
So Bishop, you can go ahead and just see if anybody wants to ask a question. You can tell them to unmute and ask the question.
Yes.
And you can also take a look at the questions which are in the YouTube channel, if there are any questions, and we can discuss that.
Yes, Maharaj. If I am checking the YouTube comments, if in the meanwhile anyone has any question here, they can unmute themselves and go ahead.
Right. Just so you can just tell me what is the discussion on the YouTube.
Hi Maharaj, Pranam Maharaj, my name is Sudipta Trivedi. I am a pass out of IIEST Shibpur of 2015 batch and electrical engineering. So my question is, in current scenario, what is the practical approach to follow this yoga in our daily life?
Yes. Always when people ask me this question about what should we practice in our daily life, so I'm a student or I'm working in a company or something like that, or a family man, whether man or woman or old or young, in whichever circumstance we are, this harmony of four yogas suggested by Swami Vivekananda is the best. So what we should do is these four things. Have a daily practice of meditation. If you have taken mantra diksha, very good. If not, you can just practice. You can pick up a method of meditation and practice it. So sit at least twice a day for at least a short period of time, maybe 15-20 minutes, and meditate. It's very good if you take mantra diksha, and you will have the technique of meditation. Then have some activity in your life. May not be daily. It could be weekly also, where you give some service. It could be at an ashram, at an NGO, anywhere there is some opportunity for service. Even if there is no organized approach to service anywhere near you, no option of that, or you don't have the time. Our daily activities, which you are doing in the family or in the community or in your job, mentally one can convert it into karma yoga. That by these activities, I am worshipping God who is present in all beings. My colleagues in the office or students in the classroom, I am worshipping them through my work. I remember one monk in our Deoghar Ramakrishna mission, entering the class, one senior monk, just before entering the class, he did pranam like this. So later I asked him, to whom were you doing pranam? Because I did not see any picture of Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna there. So he said, I was doing pranam to the children. Actually, what the term he used was Godadhar Rupi Chatradhar. Godadhar is the childhood name of Sri Ramakrishna. So he says, in all these little Sri Ramakrishna is mentally bowing down, teaching. That's all my worship. So mentally, I'm converting my activities into practice. Have a picture. In whichever form you worship God, in whichever religion also. So have a devotional practice of prayer, Maybe you put a little few flowers or an incense stick and chant a couple of mantras. Like a personal, when you love a person, try to love God like that. You feel that God is my own, that emotional bond you set up. And the last practice which we have to do is a regular study of Vedanta. Gita, Upanishads, so many texts are there, Drigdrishya, Viveka, Paroksha, Anubhuti. So there is a whole range of Advaitic texts which is very good to study and think about it. That how am I not the body mind? How am I the Atman? So these are the 4 practices, the 4 yogas, which one can comfortably integrate into one's life. So I hope that answers your question, Sudipto.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, there is a question in the YouTube that what is the highest state of spiritual perfection? Is it merging into Brahman, or is it staying a little bit separate and enjoying the Leela of God?
Yes, so that depends upon your philosophical orientation. In the path of Advaita Vedanta, your realization that I am Brahman. I mean, even merging into Brahman, one has to be careful when one uses such language. It's as if I am different from Brahman, like I'm diving into a lake and then becoming sort of dissolving into the lake, something like that. No, but we are already Brahman. We are that existence, consciousness, bliss already, and we just don't realize it. So to realize that, that is the highest state. And highest state would be you realize that and live the life accordingly. Swami Vivekananda called it manifestation of the divinity within ourselves. He said, my mission in life can be put in a few words. It is to preach unto humanity their inner divinity and how to manifest it in every movement of life. That is in our thinking, in our speech, in our activities. Am I behaving, thinking, speaking like a body mind? Or through this body and mind, I am expressing my inner divinity, that I am Satchidananda. So that is, in Vedanta, it is called Jivan Mukti. So the highest ideal in Advaita Vedanta is Jivan Mukti. You are enlightened. You realize yourself as Satchidananda, Brahman. And yet, here is this body, here is this life. Now I live my life accordingly. But if you are a bhakta, if your whole approach is devotional, that my Ma Kali, my Durga, that is my goal. I love worship and I surrender to God in that form. Then the difference is useful. I don't want to be one with God. Even if I feel one with God, let me maintain a sense of individuality so that I can enjoy the love of God. God is everywhere, and through all people, in all circumstances of life, God alone is approaching me. I'm encountering God in all these ways. So I enjoy God in 1,000 ways throughout life. That is really, if your goal is to have a good time and enjoy life, the best way to enjoy life is to love God, is to maintain that difference and enjoy God in that way, in 1,000 different ways throughout life. Both are a highest ideal. Good question.
Maharaj, there is a question in the comment box in this meeting only. Are you able to see that, or shall I read it out?
Let me see. Comment box. Let me
Chat
see.
box.
The chat box.
In your right hand side, you should be able to see something.
Oh yes, the chat box. I can see. It's a question by Richa.
Yes, Maharaj.
In the book by Sister Nivedita, the master as I saw him, Kshir Bhavani incident, Kashmir Bhavani, Kshir Bhavani incident mentioned where Swami Vivekananda got disturbed by seeing that the Islamists had reduced Bhavani temple, and then he had destroyed the temple, and then he heard a voice of Kali that it was her wish. Later Swamiji would say to his disciple Sharat Chandra that he cherished no plans of teaching everyone or build mats because it was all vanity. Kali didn't need him. And when one has seen this is nothing but illusion. How can this be understood? Thank you. So that is the higher state, when one is one with, realizes one's unity with Satchidananda. The individuality, you see, it is just used by God as an instrument. So until we attain to that kind of complete surrender to God's will, remember, Even when he was so active, when he was going to the West, came here and spread Vedanta, went back to India and aroused India, awakened India, all the tremendous activity which Swami Vivekananda did, he did it, he felt that he was an instrument. He was being directed by God. He actually had a living feeling of that, a distinct feeling of being guided by a divine hand. So it is true that it is the will of Kali alone by which she made him do all of this. He did not actually want to do all this work, whether come to the West or even to awaken India. Sri Ramakrishna said, "To hard korbe, even your bones will make you do it." So as long as the Divine Mother wants you to do the work, you will have to do it. So both are correct. That complete resignation to the will of the Divine Mother, everything that happens in the world is because of the will of the Divine Mother. But that means our activities are also the will of the Divine Mother. As long as you have a sense of activity, let us continue all our karma in the spirit of karma yoga. And ultimately we will come to that stage of complete surrender to the Divine Mother. Yes.
Maharaj, myself.
There's an echo. Huh.
Yeah. So my question is that you said that only the best way to enjoy life is to love God, and after that, Swami Vivekananda said that Jive Prem Kare Jaijan Sejan means we have to see God in human. So is it not that we have to love people first, human first, and from there love in God will come?
Yes, but if you read Swami Vivekananda's Bhakti Yoga, you will see that if you think that I will start loving everybody one by one, so then the love of God will come. It's not possible. How many people will you love one by one? And when you look at people and you say, I'm going to love the people first, what will happen is you will definitely like some people more and some people less. And there are also all these billions of people you do not know. You have no contact with them. You have no direct experience of them. How will you love them? The approach in Bhakti Yoga is ultimately to find God in all beings. You are loving the people. It's not that God and the people are different. It is God alone who is appearing in all the people around you, in your family, among your friends, among your colleagues, and also all the billions of people whom you do not know, you have not met. The same God you love, your same Krishna, same Ramakrishna is appearing in all of these forms. So when you have that one uniting factor, then it is much easier to love everybody. Yes. So the answer to your Abhigyan, your question would be that these two are not two separate things. I will love human beings and I will love God. No, not in that way. I love God, and therefore in and through that I love all human beings. And not only human beings, all living beings. Yeah.
There are two more questions. One is in YouTube, and one I personally have one. The first, I will go with the first question from YouTube, that how to concentrate our mind during meditation when we have chaos of thoughts constantly running.
One way, that is why I recommended japa. Japa is repetition of a mantra. A guru gives you a mantra and you repeat that mantra. How does that help? Notice that there is a chaos of thoughts. Our mind is scattered. The mind has a certain way of working. What does the mind do? If you notice carefully, the mind goes from one thought to another, not systematically. It jumps from one thought to another. So there's some connection. You think of the weather outside and what are you going to wear, and then you think that, I have to take my clothes to the laundry, and then I have to wear a mask, then coronavirus situation. Your thoughts are going from what to wear to coronavirus. It has gone within a matter of a second. What it does is, it goes from link to link, it jumps. A good example is a monkey. So monkey climbs a tree, and then it goes to another tree by jumping from one branch of the tree to the branch of the other tree. It does not climb down from the tree and then climb up the other tree. It jumps from branch to branch to branch, from tree to tree to tree. Our mind jumps like that. A good example is, in computer you have this hypertext. If you click one link, it will take you to another page. And in that page, randomly, if you click another link somewhere, it will take you to a third page. Our mind works like that. In fact, that's one of the reasons why our mind loves browsing on the internet, because as we want to go, as the mind wants to go, wherever it wants to go, it can go like that on an internet, which it cannot do on a book, for example. In a book, you have to move linearly, page by page, chapter by chapter. Now, what japa does, mantra japa, what it does is, so you're repeating, suppose Om Namah Shivaya, or just Om, one mantra. Now, as you repeat the mantra, it is like you're forcing the monkey, not allowing it to jump from branch to branch. You're forcing the monkey to stay on the same tree. If it goes elsewhere, you bring it back again to the same tree. So your mind is thinking of this mantra, and then mind goes elsewhere by its very nature. You recognize mind has gone away from the mantra, and you bring it back. So it's a training of the attention. It's a very good way of focusing. It's like an anchor to the mind. So this is one technique of focusing. But focus is very important. It's very nice, interesting to see that Swami Vivekananda gave so much emphasis on Raja Yoga, on concentration. He said the difference between an ordinary person and a great person lies in the degree of concentration. And this is something that I've seen across the world in universities, engineering colleges, in ashrams, that the people who can focus, who can concentrate, they tend to excel. And in this day and age today, the problem of distraction is much more because of this technology. This technology is wonderful. It's enabling us to contact each other, especially in the time of coronavirus. But it is also the cause of a lot of distraction. The inability to focus and concentrate and hold on to a particular course of action. Keeps getting scattered. So in this situation, the practice of concentration takes on even greater importance. Yeah. So my direct answer to your question would be, one powerful method of concentration in meditation would be japa.
Maharaj, I have personally one question. At the beginning of
Yes,
the session, you said that synthesis of yoga is the spiritual is the practice laid down by Swamiji. But the order which he had started, Maharaj, Ramakrishna order, there the main spiritual practice that we get is the mantra diksha, doing japa of a mantra given by a guru. So how is this mantra japa synthesized with the 4 yogas? Is it separate or is it a common thing?
So yes, we get that mantra diksha initiation, but that is a part of our Raja Yoga or meditation practice. 4 practices: meditation practice, service, philosophy, and devotion. So if you see the mantra japa practice, it's basically a combination of devotion and meditation. Meditation means japa and dhyana. And there is of course bhakti, because you have bhakti to Ishta Devata. So it's a very sophisticated method, and it integrates at least 2 of the yogas, Bhakti Yoga and Raja Yoga. But remember, in the Ramakrishna tradition, service is very important. Not just by the monks who are running schools, colleges, hospitals, but by all the devotees. So if you are a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, follower of Swami Vivekananda, you should have some component of service in your spiritual practice. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Maharaj, my main question was how to integrate this mantra japa with each of the 4 yogas. With Bhakti Yoga and Raja Yoga, it's easy to understand.
Oh,
but how?
yes,
Yoga and
yes.
Jnana Yoga.
One simple way is the beauty of the mantra japa practice is it can be done at any time. So when you are doing service, for example, if you don't have to use the mind too much in that particular work, you can repeat the mantra continuously. But if it's like say for example academic work where you have to apply the mind, you cannot continuously keep thinking about the mantra. The mantra can go back to the background, or once in a while when you take a break for a couple of minutes, you can repeat the mantra. You can offer the work to your Ishta Devata. Whatever work you are doing, at the beginning of the work, mentally offer that this is my puja to you. And at the end of the work, again offer that I am offering this puja to you. So the mantra japa and the Ishta Devata, Ishta mantra and Ishta Devata can be connected with the 4 yogas. It can be connected with your Karma Yoga, and of course it is by itself Raja Yoga. It's connected to your Bhakti Yoga because the primary practice, Bhakti practice for you is worship of your Ishta Devata. You may not do an elaborate ritualistic worship, may not be possible for you. But you can certainly sit, you can have a little shrine in your room, keep the picture of your Ishta Devata, offer a couple of flowers and maybe a little incense, and do morning and evening japa. And the Jnana Yoga, inquiry into who am I, that's basically inquiry into your real nature. Swami Akhandanand ji used to say, and Sri Ramakrishna also said this, the Jejar Ishto Shetar Atma, the Atman, the self, a higher self, the real nature, which we are inquiring into in Jnana Yoga, that is basically the same as the Ishta Devata. When you worship it as something, as your Ishta, it becomes a bhakti practice. But in reality, you and your Ishta are one and the same reality, and that is called the Atman. So all the 4 yogas are, they can be understood as different dimensions of that same japa and dhyana.
Got it, Maharaj. Understood now.
Hello, Maharaj. I'm Prabhat Dutta Maharaj. Second
Yes,
year.
Prabhat.
Yes, I'm studying in IIST currently. Maharaj, my question is, as we came to know about the purification of our mind by doing also towards our work, but what about that greed in our daily life that is full of greed, like we want money, we want good food, how to overcome that?
Yeah, so don't directly try to overcome the the greed or desire in the mind. If the thing is, first of all, from a knowledge perspective, realize that will not ultimately lead to fulfillment. So this one must quietly sit and think that I want to be rich. I really want to enjoy good food, and I want to have a party with my friends. And so, first of all, let me realize that this will not lead to fulfillment. There is no end to it, and even if I try to achieve all these things, it will not lead to a fulfillment for me. Right? So once we have this understanding, even after that, those desires will still be there. Then don't worry about it. Don't make the fulfillment of those desires the goal of your life. The goal of your life is enlightenment, spirituality, God realization, in whichever way you like, self-realization, God realization. Let that be the ultimate goal of my life. All of these other things, whether it's money, good food, enjoying the pleasures of life, they are smaller aspects, they'll be there. Your attitude towards them should be that, yes, if it comes in my life, it's nice and pleasant. At this point, I cannot overcome those desires. I will fulfill them, but I will never think that they will ultimately give me any kind of lasting fulfillment in life. I should be clear about it. Nobody till today has become everlastingly fulfilled by eating food, or by earning money, or by getting power, or by enjoying, or watching Netflix. One has become completely fulfilled. It does not happen. Recently, I was reading an article that somebody was watching TV shows on Netflix and record Guinness Book of World Records. How long can you watch? So this person broke the world record and he watched 96 hours of TV on the internet. He watched continuously. They call it binge watching. So binge watching he did for 96 hours. At the end of it, he broke the world record, and he was asked, how does he feel now? He said, I feel horrible, I feel terrible. Now it is for pleasure. Why is he watching TV? For pleasure only. And at the end of it, he said, you do as you like. At the end of it, he says, I feel horrible. And we know, if we do that, we will also feel horrible. So we should be very clear that satisfaction of the pleasures of life, the desires of life, will not. We should keep the highest goal very clear. That what is Vivekananda's goal, what is Ramakrishna's goal, what is Buddha's goal in life, is also my goal in life. That I want to become enlightened. Everybody, anybody who is interested in Vivekananda, those who are members of the Vivekananda Youth Circle, ultimately you are basically interested in enlightenment or God realization or self-realization, whichever your language you prefer. So keeping that in mind, let the other things be there in your life. As long as they are there, they let it be there. And mentally offer it, always connected to God, is like, good food, I'm eating. Mentally offer it to the Lord and I'm taking prasad. that way. And one has to be careful. There are certain things you cannot offer to God. Suppose somebody is addicted to drugs, one must try to come out of that. Because those pleasures are so devastating that if you say, let it be there, one day I will come out of it. No, it will destroy my character, it will destroy my body, mind. So, like addiction to drugs or something like that, that one must try to come out of. Yes.
Yes, there is one question from Richa on behalf of our friend Pooja. People tend to surrender to God often when they don't wish to do something about a situation. So how can one be balanced in surrender to God versus taking action and being strong in a situation? Surrender is not
always. Yeah, Richard, that's a good question. Always take action. Surrender to God and letting it, letting God take care of it, that's a very high practice. At this stage in our life, take action. Swami Vivekananda learned this lesson when he was in Banaras. So in that Durga temple in Banaras, he was traveling as an unknown monk at that time. And there are these big monkeys. Even now there are those monkeys in the Durga temple there. So they were chasing. And Swami Vivekananda became afraid. He was running away from them. The more he was running away, the more the monkeys, this Hanuman, they were chasing him. Then one old sadhu saw this and shouted at him, "Samna karo, face it, face the brute." So Swami Vivekananda stood there and turned around, and when he faced the monkeys stopped and they ran away. And later on in America and in India also, this is one lesson that he conveyed to people: face the brute. Whatever is the brute means the big problem in my life. The more I run away, the more it will chase me. It comes from this ancient doctrine of karma, we have got. It has come in my life because of my past karma. And it will not go away. It is it's part of my karma. So I cannot avoid it. If I run away from this situation, it will come to me in another form. So I am troubled by the responsibilities, financial responsibilities, academic responsibilities, so many responsibilities in life. I don't like any of it. I will run away and become a sadhu and sit in the mountains. All right, in the mountains there is no more financial responsibility, academic responsibility. Very good. Will I get peace? No. Suddenly you will find I am getting physical problems. Maybe illness is there or some kind of physical discomfort is there. The same suffering which I had to undergo there will come here in another form. So one cannot run away. There is nothing that one can escape in life. Swami Vivekananda put it very clearly: good, good, bad, bad, and none escape the law. So what is that law? Law of karma. Whatever forces we have set in motion in the past, in this life or past lifetimes, the result will come to us. It is coming to us in the form of all the good and bad we can see in our own life. The best thing is to face it. Face it with strength, with dignity, with the goal clear in mind, that I want to attain God realization. That is my goal. Then none of these problems will be so much, still will be a challenge, but it will not be seen as a problem anymore. It will become part of your sadhana, spiritual practice. Yes.
Maharaj, it is Sudipto again. So I have one question. According to your last sentence only, you told that good karma is there and bad karma is there, and according to you have to suffer, right? So what is good karma and what is bad karma?
What is good karma and bad karma? This law of karma, in Hinduism we call it karma vada. In all the Indian traditions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, this law of karma is accepted. The meaning is this, that whatever we do has an effect. Karma has an effect. Karma, the action that we perform has an effect. The word karma is used in two senses. One is in the sense of the action, what we are doing. Also in the sense of the result. Karma phala is often called karma. Now, how it works? Dharma, good action. What is good action, you might ask? Good action is ethical action. That is the topic of our next discussion, next Saturday. Ethical action, a moral action which I know to be right, maybe according to religion or according to my sense of ethics or my own conscience. If I do what I consciously understand to be right, and the result of that is called dharma. The result of that is what is called punya, merit. And the result of that punya will be sukha, something pleasant, something nice in my life. Now this connection may not be obvious to me. Something nice is happening to me in my life. Why is it happening? What is the good karma behind it? I have no idea. The opposite is also true. If I consciously, deliberately do something which is wrong, unethical, I know it is unethical and yet I do it. Why do I do unethical things? It could be simply temptation that I cannot resist it, or it could be fear that if I don't do it, if I don't tell a lie, I will get caught, but then so the result will be very bad. So out of fear, out of temptation, mainly for all these wrong reasons, we do wrong action, knowingly. And the result of that is what is called papa or sin or demerit. And the result of that is dukkha, suffering. So this is what Swami Vivekananda calls good, good, bad, bad. Good, good means dharma, punya, sukha. Bad, bad means adharma, papa, dukkha. And he says none escape the law. Now, if none escape the law, then what is the use of Vedanta? What is the point of Vedanta? What Vedanta says, Swami Vivekananda's next line is, whosoever wears a form wears the chain too. So as long as we are identified with this body and mind, wears a form means body mind. Even the enlightened person has a body mind. The difference is this. We think we are this body mind. We have no idea of anything more than this. So as long as we think we are this, the chain means past karma. This body mind is produced because of causality. Past karma has produced this body mind. I mean this particular body especially. And the experiences we have in this life. And as a result of that, we will suffer. Now, what Vedanta says, so Vivekananda says, next line in that poem is, far beyond is Atman ever free. Far beyond name and form is Atman ever free. Know thou art that, O sannyasi bold, say Om Tat Sat Om. So right now, we are that Satchidananda, which is actually not affected by good karma, not affected by bad karma. You realize yourself to be that, and then live your life. The body will continuously be affected by the past karma. So that is the beauty of Vedanta. It helps you to transcend karma.
Maharaj, this is Sandeep Nanda. Good morning and Shubhanova Varsha.
Shubhanova Varsha.
So, thanks for spending wonderful time for all of us, and pranam from all of us. So I had two questions, but I see only 5 minutes left to your next session. So quickly I'll try to wrap it up. Say for synthesis, when you talk about synthesis of 4 yogas, is it necessary to keep that analytic mind on that, hey, I need to do this, I need to do that in a daily life, or rather you carry on your activities in the flow? Rather try to do that, now I need to do something karma, now I need to do something raja. Is it needed to do in that way, or rather you continue your workflow and later on you do a deep dive and analyze how we could have done better and what else could have done?
Well, a little bit of both actually. One must consciously have a philosophy of life. So I am continuing, as you said, continuing my workflow. But why am I doing this work? You need not do it all the time, but at least once you must do it. Once you must make up your mind that all my activities, now I have studied Vivekananda, I have studied Vedanta, I have heard of this great teaching that God realization is possible, self-realization is possible. Yes, it is my goal. Then my work is a sadhana for self-realization. I will try to meditate once or twice in the day. And I will regularly study Vedanta, Vivekananda. So this, deliberately one must make a certain change to one's lifestyle. You don't have to put on Gerua and go and sit in Belur Math, but in your day-to-day lifestyle itself, there must be a component of meditation, component of service. Now the component of service need not be something separate, that on Saturday weekend I will do some service. It could simply be that the work that I'm doing, going to office and working, that itself now I will do deliberately, consciously, not tell anybody else, but mentally it is now my service to God. I am worshipping Sri Ramakrishna, for example, through when I'm typing a report, when I'm giving a class, mentally I'm worship. That conscious effort must be made. Otherwise what will happen is, if you go with the flow, then it will just be the way life was going on earlier. It will go on like this. So what is the harm? The harm is this, That life will go on as it is means that same suffering will be there, same unhappiness will be there. If I'm not deliberately going towards a goal, I will not reach it. So if you are going towards somewhere, you get in a taxi, and the driver says, where to? Will you say, oh, go with the flow, wherever the traffic is going, go with the traffic? No, you have a destination you want to go to. You tell the driver, go that place. And also, if possible, you will tell the route also. Similarly, yes, you will go with the flow of your life. Not that you have to make a major difference or make it artificial, but there must be a conscious awareness that this is my sadhana. Here is meditation, my work is my service, and deliberately I am studying Gita, Upanishad, Vedanta. So you see, what I am saying is, there must be an awareness. It must be a conscious decision that I am a sadhaka from now on. Who am I? What am I? Right now I'm a sadhaka. I'm trying to realize God.
Yeah, basically coming out of your comfort zone and getting to
Yes,
your target.
anything that you want to do in life, you must do it consciously. Otherwise, you will just automatically flow with what was going on earlier. If you go on with what was going on earlier, the problems which were there earlier will continue to be there now also.
And Maharaj, quickly, if you in 1 minute, if you can add, like say if you have to address much younger generation, like say teens below 18, so what will be your message to them to start practicing?
Well, if you're in a position where you're going to talk to teens, whether at home or in the classroom, remember a few things. What I've found, which works very well, is it should be inspirational. Young people are, even today, they are idealistic. So someone like Vivekananda is very inspirational. So give them concrete examples, an example of service, an example of meditation, an example of, what is the benefit of devotion. Also, make it clear again and again what is their advantage in doing this. So children or young people are very impatient. We are all impatient these days. So we want immediate benefit. And show the benefit of concentration to whatever they're doing. Whether they are reading the Harry Potter book or they are preparing for an examination, the tremendous benefit of concentration. So the questions, the deep philosophical questions in life. What is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? If you can present it in an interesting, vivid way, which is relatable, that it is, yes, he is talking about my life, not something theoretical, not that he is preaching to me. He is telling me something which is immediately useful in my life. It can transform my life from today itself. You will see many of them will be motivated.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Share these ideas. The Vivekananda Youth Circle is a nucleus, is a thought nucleus. So very powerful ideas Swami Vivekananda has given, especially in his 4 yogas, lectures from Colombo to Almora, and inspired talks, and the conversations with the disciple Sharat Chandra, and also his letters of Swami Vivekananda. You broadcast these ideas around you, not in a forceful way or preachy way, because that irritates people, but in a way which will inspire people, which will, people really are looking for a high ideology, something which is an answer to the questions of modern life. And I find nothing better than Vivekananda, so positive. In fact, one young man was telling me here a few days ago. He is a graduate of one of the top engineering schools in India, is working in Wall Street here, and he said, see, these ideas of Vedanta were never told to us. We were never exposed to these things in India. So we have this very strange, I feel, we have this very strange idea of education in India, which we have inherited from the British, is that education just means you should learn a language and some work skills and get a good job. That's it. And what about philosophy and spirituality? No, we are secular, we cannot talk about that. The greatest resource of our culture, in the name of that, we cannot discuss it, we will put it aside. Then you are depriving an entire generation after generation are being deprived from it. people say that we need to provide high quality education. People say it's good, yeah, you should provide high quality education. Then the problem is, if you are able to provide high quality education also, at the end of it, what then? After getting that high quality education, you end up getting a great job here in Wall Street or in some big company here in the United States or in some Western country. Fine. You have achieved the goal of that high quality education. And then what? After getting that also, one feels empty. One feels meaningless, purposeless. Many of them feel that way. So and Sri Ramakrishna put it very beautifully. He says, number of zeros, if you put one after another also, it's still zero. But if you have one, after that, as many zeros as you add, the value will keep on increasing. So your education, your money, your friends, all your talents and qualities, they're like zeros. They all get the value if you have a one. That one is the spirituality. That is provided, that was central to our culture. And I think it should be transmitted. If it cannot be transmitted formally through the education structure, no problem. Organizations like the Vivekananda Youth Circle and individually by our own study, we must light up our life with this ideology, with this inspiration. I think there are answers to all the major questions of life. At least I see here in the West, all the big questions which people are struggling with, all the answers are there in Vivekananda. Wonderful answers, powerful answers are there. Very good.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this impressive session. And heartily I want to thank you for this encouraging and inspiring speech. I am sure all of us must have been inspired by this amazing speech. So nothing to worry about that. Next week we are again meeting. So thanks for Google for this amazing opportunity even in this pandemic situation. Special thanks to Professor Gautam Bhattacharya, the President of Vivekananda Youth Circle, for guiding and being with us. And thank you all the dignitaries of our college. And thanks Raj Gupta for the chanting. And Vishwarupta for conducting the